Now at this point, we need to worry about what will happen when the app is plunged into the background, which can happen at any moment as users switch to other tasks or quit the app. And we have to deal with managing memory. Now, as you recall, we're in the application did finish launch method, but there are other methods to take a look at. One in particular is the application did enter background. Now, this application did enter background method tells the delegate that the app is now in the background. It gets the message, application did enter background, and this method has to deal with this message. In iOS 4.0 and newer versions, apps all support background execution, which our My World does by virtue of our coding the part that's coming up. And the method that we use instead of the older method application will terminate is application did enter background. And that's because in these newer versions of iOS, application did enter background is the message you get. So we use application did enter background method to release our shared resources, to save user data, to invalidate any timers that we're using, and to store enough information to restore your app to its current state. Here's where we restart any tasks that were paused or not yet started while the app was inactive. So what we want to do is we want to reestablish our timer, and we want to use it for both views. And that would be the timer we used in Main View Controller to do the animation. Let's look first, though, down at the application did become active method. Here, the message application did become active tells the delegate that the app has become active, and either the user has launched the app or switched back to the app after using another app, or maybe ignored an interruption such as an incoming phone call. So you use the application did become active method to restart any tasks that were paused or not yet started while the app was inactive. So we would use it to restart a timer. You might want to use it to, throttle up your animation frame rates. And if your app was previously in the background, you could also use application did become active to refresh your app's user interface. So if we go to the application did become active method first, here is where we would add code for our timers. Now remember, back in mainviewcontroller.m, let's jump over there for a second. We have here, back in our mainviewcontroller.m, the timer that we use to schedule our animation. So we want to be able to restart this timer, and in fact, we want to restart two timers, one for this view, the main view, and one for our photo view. So let's go back to our app delegate. The application did become active method, and we're going to start with our timer for the main view. Main view controller, word timer, and we're going to start up that timer again with an NS timer, scheduled timer with time interval of 0.5 seconds, with target main view controller, selector, @selector on timer. User info is nil and repeats yes. Now we don't need the rest of that. Semicolon. Okay, so now we've done the main view controller word timer. We want to do one for the photo view controller photo timer, which we haven't actually coded yet, but we know we're going to use. So we're going to put photo view controller photo timer, and again use the same NS timer, scheduled with time interval. This is going to be only 0.2 seconds, and instead of the invocation, we're going to do the target method. Photo view controller selector @selector on timer, using the exact same timer and the exact same settings that we use for the word timer, except it's only 0.2 seconds instead of 0.5. Now, we automatically do have a problem here. The property photo timer is not found in photo view controller, and that's because we haven't put it there yet. We will get around to doing that, believe me. So now we have to go back up to the application did enter background, which is here, and we have to invalidate those timers that we just set up. This is what happens when the application enters the background. The main view controller word timer is invalidated, turned off, so to speak. Our photo view controller photo timer, which we haven't created yet, is also going to be invalidated. Okay, so now we've set it up. Our implementation of the application did enter background method has approximately 5 seconds to perform any tasks and then return. So if you need additional time, you can request additional execution time from the system by calling begin background task with expiration handler, but that's beyond the scope of this lesson. In practice, You should return from application did enter background as quickly as possible, because if time runs out, your app is terminated and purged from memory. The application did become active method tells the delegate that the app has become active and the user has launched the app or switched to the app, and we use this method to restart any tasks that were paused, such as our timers. Now, I also talk about memory management, and sure enough, because we have a photo view controller that we've allocated, we're going to have to release it. So down by the dealloc method here at the bottom, we see that the template has already provided in the dealloc method a release for the window and a release for main view controller. All we need to do is add a release for the other view controller we created, photo view controller, not release, not retain, but release. And that's being a good memory management citizen. And here's why. These objects were created by sending a retain message in the property declarations. You can see that here as we switch to the header file. Retain messages, here they are. So when we create them in here, allocate them, we need to release them. For every retain message, we have to send a release. And coming up, we're going to be able to fix some of these errors. Well, the only error that we have really, which is that photo timer is a property that's not yet been typed as code into photo view controller.